can't stand any more. No more Mr. Nice Puppet. I'm going to get 'em. All of 'em, every last rat of them. What on earth is the matter, Noah? I've never been so mad. After all we did for those mice, and we did everything we could for them, and oh, you mean about them getting into the curtain box? Yeah, they chewed up two of our very best backdrops, our forest scene and our winter scene. Oh, I'm so mad. Those ungrateful, degenerate little terrorists. I'm going to get 'em all. And how do you expect to do that? I'll find heavy stuff and I'll drop it on 'em, and I'll find some place to lock 'em all up, and I'll... Ooh, well, that's pretty grisly. Are you sure you can do that? I mean, more importantly, are you sure you should do that? You bet. I'm having a temper tantrum. So I see. Just like your hero David did. No, surely not. Oh, yes, he did. You can read about it in 1 Samuel chapter 25. Oh, well, please tell me about it. Well, this happened while David and his men were hiding from King Saul. They'd been camping in a desert and making sure no one bothered the shepherds who kept their flocks in that area. Oh, well, that was nice of 'em. So, since there was nothing to hunt and they didn't steal, David sent 10 of his young men to the richest man around. His name was Nabal, and he had 1,000 goats and 3,000 sheep. He also had a beautiful and intelligent wife named Abigail. David sent a very polite message saying, "Peace be to you and your house and all that you have." He said since he and his men had not bothered Nabal's shepherds and had protected them from harm, would he please give to his young men whatever he could to support David and his men. Oh, well, that seems fair. Nabal didn't think so. He answered very rudely, and he sent the young men away empty-handed. Wow, what a mean, ungrateful man! When the young men returned to camp and told David what happened, David was furious. He said the same things you did, that Nabal was ungrateful, and why had he and his men bothered to protect the shepherds, and he told 400 of his men to strap on their swords, and he said, "May God deal with me ever so severely if by morning I have left one man alive belonging to Nabal." Whoa, that's a little extreme. Ya think? Maybe like what you said you were going to do to the mice? Oh, maybe, but I was just so mad. Well, so was David. In the meantime, Nabal's servants went to Abigail and told her what happened. They said it was true that David's men had protected them and the sheep and had done only good to them. She quickly gathered up 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 dressed sheep, 5 sheaves of roasted grain, 100 raisin cakes, and 200 fig cakes. She loaded it all on donkeys and mounted her own donkey and went to meet David. She did not tell her husband. Wow, she was brave, too. Yes, and when she saw David and his men coming in the distance, she bowed down to him, and when they got closer, she fell at David's feet. She explained that she had not seen the young men that he'd sent, and that her husband was just like his name, which means fool. She begged David to accept the gift of food she'd brought, and to please reconsider avenging himself by his own hand. Oh, well, did David listen? David realized how wrong he'd been. He praised God for sending Abigail and praised her for stopping him from making a horrible mistake, and he accepted the food, sent her home in peace, and he and his men went back to their camp. Phew, that was a close one. What did Nabal say? When Abigail got back, her husband was in the middle of hosting a huge feast, so she waited till the next day to tell him what happened and what almost happened. When she did, the Bible says that Nabal's heart failed him, and he became like a stone. He died 10 days later. Oh, so God took care of avenging David without unnecessary bloodshed and without David being guilty of innocent blood. God always knows best, and because he knows, everything, and we don't, we should never take justice into our own hands. Being angry is no excuse for anything. You're right, Gramps. Thanks. Well, now that's not the end of this story. Oh, it's not? Nope. When David heard that Nabal was dead, he realized that Abigail was not only wonderful, beautiful, and courageous, but a good woman to have around, to keep him from flying off in a temper tantrum and doing bad things. He sent some of his men to ask Abigail to become his wife. She agreed, and Abigail became David's third wife. She eventually bore him a son. Cool. Hey, I gotta go find Joanna. Oh, well, wait. What's your hurry? Well, you know how much she loves a romance, and this one's a doozy. I've been waiting for my chance to be the storyteller, and this is it. Oh, she's gonna love it. Okay, but remember, the Bible says in many places, be slow to anger and abounding in love. Ephesians 4:26 says to be angry and sin not. Being angry isn't necessarily sin, but tantrums waste time and energy, and they can cause terrible things to happen. When you get angry, take a deep breath and pray and wait for God to show you what to do. I'll remember, Gramps. That's a great bit of advice. Boy puppets. Are you weary? Are you heavy-hearted? Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. Are you grieving over joys departed? Tell it to Jesus alone. Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. He is a friend that's well known. You've no other such a friend or brother. Tell it to Jesus alone.